Hello everybody and welcome to another episode. We are back here in a brand new season of the Good Bit podcast and we are really appreciating your time this fine day. Thank you for downloading and for watching this week's episode. We're going to chat about a brilliant film that came out in the later half of 2023. We're going to talk about Wonka, but before we do, right before we started on our rolling, we were talking about some classic Simpsons, and we were just reflecting so much on one of the most iconic shows of all time. I was going to say animated shows of all time, but just TV shows in general. I believe it's just won. I don't know if it was an Emmy or a Golden Globe or something like that, but it was like Best Animated Series 2024 for season whatever it is, 35 or something like that for The Simpsons. I'm loving the fact it's still winning awards, but we did just say watching current stuff, it's just not the same.
No.
It's not even like a bad thing. It's just, I don't know if they can get away. They can't get away with some stuff that they did, but it's not even as if back in the day it was raunchy or anything like that. It was just the way television was written was so much different back in the day. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I was watching a video on YouTube. It's one of these, like a series where this, I can't for the life of me remember who it was, but a creator basically goes, the day something died, or
I've
the
seen
day
the one. Yes.
Yeah, and it's the Simpsons one, and I can't remember at what point they said it was, but I might be getting this wrong,
wait a minute.
but isn't it because the way that it used to be was the show was designed to basically kind of spoof 80s and 70s and 80s America and the way that like lifestyles were changing and stuff. So now the show doesn't have as much to kind of like call back on, and it's not this kind of like writer's room throwing around ideas, trying to like mess around and poke fun at stuff. Now it's just kind of, I don't know, maybe a bit too self-aware now.
Yeah.
Instead of just going, oh, look at that used to happen.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just probably a bit of fatigue as well.
Right.
You know, it's a show that's been going, over 20 years?
Well, way over 20, 1989, I believe it started.
Yeah.
So,
You know what I mean? So I'm like,
crazy, man.
There's only probably really so much they can do that feels like totally original.
Yeah.
And for the life of me, I can't remember when they said the episode.
I think it was when Principal Skinner is revealed that it's not his name or something. That's
yes, right. And they're gone, aha, we've got you. It's not actually the character you thought it was. Here's a plot twist, and then it's never addressed again. And you kind of go, really?
What happened there? Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. It was the one where it's Seymour Skinner's not the real Seymour Skinner.
Yeah,
because like I used to look, it's terrible. I shouldn't find this kind of stuff funny, but I always found the clips when like he has Vietnam flashbacks. And there was one particular one. What was it? Was it on Valentine's Day? And Bart has like, it's like Seymour's making an announcement on the tannoy, and Seymour Skinner just remembers his mate Johnny getting shot. And he's like, Johnny, and you just hear him on the tannoy shouting, Johnny, and Bart's like, cool, I broke his brain. I have no idea why. I always just found it so funny.
Yeah, Skinner.
Skinner. Superintendent Thomas.
Honestly, it's so good. I mean, it's kind of like Family Guy was the same, right? Family Guy, they were kind of poking fun at modern day America, and then it just went, went so
silly. Yeah. This is terrible. I've never seen Family Guy. I think I've seen like one episode.
OMG, I can't believe it.
Into it. I really, really, really tried. But
have you watched the Star Wars one?
No.
That may be a good entry.
Okay, that might be a good way to get in.
It's called Blue Harvest, and it was like season 4 or 5 or something like that. But they were super hot at once, but they don't, because they're more kind of rated R or mature or whatever it is. Then they don't quite touch the Simpsons that way, because the Simpsons was so like world famous and household names and stuff. But they kind of were going to take over from the Simpsons a little bit in terms of poking fun at stuff. But that's now in season 20 odd as well, so that's kind of reaching the end of its wits anyway. So
blimey.
Yeah. Also wanted to show you this before we get started. One of my favourite Christmas presents that I got is a coaster for my mug of tea, which, I mean, you wouldn't think that's like the best present, but it is a picture of an Empire biscuit, but not any Empire biscuit. It's the Empire biscuit.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I thought it was great.
So good.
Those were my Christmas presents.
It's literally a Death Star on top of the icing. That's so good.
Oh man! And then
I
I
would have
don't
made
know.
up with that.
I don't know if Willy Wonka would create an Empire biscuit, but that was me trying to make a segue there.
That's a nice segue. We like
There
that.
you go.
Yeah.
So the reason that I got you on here
Mhm.
to chat about this is because I don't know if I saw a tweet about it or maybe you posted on Instagram or something like that, but I don't know if you were the same as me when you saw this was advertised, or maybe you saw the trailers for Wonka or whatever, and you were thinking, what are we going to be doing with this? Because from the trailer, it's pretty obvious that it's like a background story, it's an origin story of Willy Wonka himself. We obviously had the 2005 remake of the film, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with Johnny Depp. Now, I was much younger when that came out. I guess I was 9 or 10 when that film came out, right? So I had the DVD and I really liked that one, because that's one I grew up with, right? Everyone has those kind of films and stuff. And I'm sure if I was to watch it now, I'd probably still enjoy it. I'd probably find parts of it that I enjoy. But then as I got older and I got more into films and stuff, I watched Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and went, okay, this is the real good one here, right?
Yeah.
So much so that I actually watched it right before Christmas. It was on one day. And around Christmas sort of time this year, I was thinking, I've seen all these classic Christmas films. You were kind of mentioning before we started recording as well, wanting to watch new ones every year and that sort of thing. But I couldn't really find one I wanted to watch. I felt quite bad this Christmas. I was like, man, what? I don't know what I want to watch. I'm going to watch Elf and I'm going to watch Home Alone when it comes to it. Polar Express, But so I ended up watching Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and just absolutely was reminded why I loved it so much, and it's just an absolutely incredible film. So my question to you is, and this really long-winded question, is any memories you have on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and what were your opinions when you saw the fact that there was going to be a brand new film and an origin story on an iconic character?
So, I grew up absolutely adoring Willy Wonka, and so I have next to me my little Gene Wilder pop. This was the second Funko Pop I ever bought. Stopped buying them after a while, but this was the second one I ever got. And I think I bought him after a drama school audition as kind of like stress is done.
Yeah.
And amazingly, I think this was after the getting into Lipper one. So I'm like, there you go, it's meant to be.
Cool.
But anyways, that's not even answering the question. So I grew up watching Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Absolutely adored it. It would be on every couple of weeks. Yeah. There was a couple of movies growing up that I'd like cycle through them again and again and again and again and again. And Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka is my favorite character in all of cinema.
Wow.
He's nothing has ever competed with him. Like, maybe Darth Vader's amazing, but there's just something about somebody who's just so a bit out there, a bit different, a bit whimsical,
right?
That all they want to do is just bring joy to people. And I loved that there was some kind of like mystery to him as well. And the Roald Dahl book of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was just one of my favorite books growing up. And there's always just something about this movie that I love. I think Pure Imagination is one of the best songs ever written. And there was just something, especially for the time in which this film was made, there was something so magical about it. I mean, okay, I know that Roald Dahl hated the movie.
Really? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, when he saw it, absolutely hated it.
Wow.
And he was like, I don't want another one of my books being turned into a film. He hated it because none of the songs were from what he'd written.
Right.
I think there's a couple of things you look back and you just go, this is a little bit odd. Because like they've just suddenly gotten rid of his dad. Because like his dad's a main character in the book, and all of a sudden,
right?
And then one of the grandmas just goes, "If only his father were alive." I'm like, he should be. So,
well, that's breaking news to me. I'm very sorry to hear that.
Yeah, he just added this really sad background that his dad's died. I'm like, where's this come from? So I love this movie. I thought it was so good. I mean, there's lots of stuff that massively deviates off from the book, like the geese on anything in the book. Because I obviously at the time they can't have the CGI to do all the squirrels, so they've got these animatronic or puppeteered geese for that.
But don't you love that though? There's something so charming about the kind of
Yeah,
the physical effects, like the early Star Wars. It's like you love it because it's all
yeah,
it's all there.
totally.
You know.
But I do, and also the ridiculously creepy Slugworth, and there's so
Right.
many things where you just go, what on why have they done this? But it's just, I love it. I literally love it, and the the lickable wallpaper.
That's good at it.
There are so many memes of Grandpa Joe. So
There is.
I'm not going to talk about it, but if anybody wants to go and Google it.
Do
So
it
then
alone.
when yeah.
Yeah.
So when the Johnny Depp one came out again, it was like, oh wow, we're gonna get a new retelling of it, and that I feel was more. It was closer to what the book was,
Mm-hmm.
but I still think Gene Wilder's Wonka was closer to Willy Wonka we knew from the book. But then they added in this whole backstory of his dad and, running away from his dentist father.
The dentist thing was just like in my brain for years. It's really dark as well. It's like just one of those films that you would put on in the kind of winter or autumn time. It's not a summer film.
No, and the infamous scene of like Christopher Lee's character just like taking each individual candy out of the pot. He's like, lollipops, what we call cavities on a stick. And you're like, where's this come from?
Can you give me, sorry, I have to interrupt. Can you give me a Count Dooku line?
Oh yeah. So he's like, your swords, please. We don't want to make a mess in front of the Chancellor. It's like, my powers have doubled since last time we met, Count. Good. Twice the pride, double the fall. That's so good.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
My powers have doubled since the last time we met Count. You call him as if Count's his first name.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
so yes, again, it was one of those things. And then when they announced this movie was happening, my gut reaction was, "Oh no!" And because they said it was going to be an origin story to the Gene Wilder's Wonka, so it's got nothing to do with the Tim Burton movie. It's the origin story of how that Willy Wonka became who he is. And I was like, "Oh no! Please, 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 for the love of God, please don't get this wrong."
Right.
And then when they said that Paul King's directing it, I'm like, okay, so it's going to have the Paddington-esque vibe.
Yeah.
And then when they announced, okay, it's actually going to have songs in it, I was like, okay, this is exciting because it's going akin more to like what that original movie was. And then when I saw clips of it, I was like, okay, this is looking better than I thought, but I was still having that hesitation because it's a huge part of my childhood and my favorite character. What if this kind of like taints that image? So I went into the cinema very, 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 very apprehensive. I was really nervous, excited because I was like, oh, we get to see like part of that all over, part of my childhood brought back all over again, but like having a new spin on it and modern day technology, modern day writing, music, directing, shooting, everything. And I'm like, okay, gonna give this benefit of the doubt. And then sat there and I went to go and see an IMAX first. Okay. So this is a movie I saw 3 times in December.
Love that.
So that tells you all. So I was like, I need to go and see this day one. Go in IMAX, smack bang in the middle of the cinema. I'm like, this is it. This is the Sheldon sweet spot, the acoustic sweet spot. All I needed to do was just go, in that spot. And then the Warner Brothers like logo starts and you just hear bam, bam, bam. I was like, this is it. We're in.
Yeah.
As soon as I heard that, like chills shot up my arm. I was like, okay, we're fine.
Okay, cool.
I had this weird experience because obviously I knew it was going to be a musical. And I don't know why some people do this, but especially in like an IMAX cinema, it's huge and there's hundreds of seats. And there was this one couple that had to sit exactly next to me when there's so many seats everywhere.
It drives me nuts. Oh my God.
So he sat next to me and he turns to his missus and goes, "Is this a musical?" As soon as the song starts, I'm like, oh no, I've got this for the whole film. Luckily, he didn't say anything else, but once the singing started,
good, that's a relief. Honestly,
I was dreading it.
I love the cinema. I would choose the cinema over any other way of watching a film.
Totally.
and I don't go as often as I should and as much as I used to, but like when I go to the cinema, I do feel like I worry that something is going to affect my enjoyment of the film. I saw Maestro at the cinema at the GFT,
Ooh,
and
okay.
my God, I don't know if you've seen it yet, right? But there's this
No, not yet.
really powerful moment with Carey Mulligan's character, right? Who's just
Okay.
amazing in this film, right?
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper is exceptional. Carey Mulligan is almost better. Like, it's just an amazing performance. And it's just this really, really emotional, powerful moment. And it's like at that moment we decide to go to the toilet. You know what I mean? Don't even wait. You know the scene or you know the film is going to end soon. What film was it again? Killers of the Flower Moon, right? It's 3 hours and 26 minutes, right? You've been sitting there for 3 hours and 20 minutes. The end of the film is happening. You can see it about to end. And people decide, we're going to beat the traffic. And they leave right at the last moment.
Come on.
And I'm like, you've been sitting there for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
What is 5 minutes going to do?
No.
Oh, man. Anyway, sorry, I ran over. But
but no,
I'm glad that it didn't disturb you.
No, because I sound like such a miserable old man, but it's so annoying. I went to an unlimited screening the other night of Poor Things.
Yes.
And not the seat next to me, but the one next to that, there was a guy. And I don't know what it is. I just don't know what it is, whether I've got like a sign on me or it's like a magnet. But the one person in the whole cinema that has a cough, I was just maybe every 15 to 20 seconds.
No.
I was like, oh no. I'm like, this is a 2.5 hour film. Please, for the love of God, I can't cope if every 20 seconds. So the rest of because the reason I booked the seat I was in, because the rest of the row was like fully booked up.
Right.
And then I thought, right, I'll give it 10 minutes after the movie started. Row's still empty. I'm like, screw this. Up, straight down there. And then that's it. It was kind of like a bee being in the room then for the rest of the record.
Yeah.
The rest of the
I wanted to
the rest of them.
I wanted to speak to you about, did you watch Rowan Atkinson on Netflix, Man vs. Bee?
Oh, it's so good. Who would have thought, like, such a simple idea of, like, a bee being stuck in this beautiful house?
But you know the one man for the job.
Oh, yeah.
Though.
Yeah,
you know
of course. I mean? That was so good. Like, such a good film.
And he says something like, there was this bee.
There was this bee. So good. That was such an amazing film.
Also in Wonka. Also in Wonka. I couldn't believe it.
No, when he rocks. Sir, do you have any spare child? I'm sorry, my child. I don't have any. Turns and just dunks a bit in his mouth.
I was really happy to see there was no fatal beatings in the film.
Hey, now you've done your Rowan prep. Because I think we've talked about this.
That's why I brought it up.
Another time. Yes. During the beating. Oh, it's so good.
You're the only person that I really spoke to that knows it as much as me, because that's something that I studied when I was younger, and no one else knows it.
It's a masterclass in performing, from the invisible drum set to the dating advice one. And I think my favorite will always be, though, when he plays Satan. And he's just reading
Hello,
off
it's
the list
nice
of
to see you all here.
We stop screaming. Thank you.
And
Which you may call me. Which you may call me Toby, if you like. We try to keep things informal here as well as infernal.
Oh man, I did some. It's just a little joke of mine. I tell it every time.
All the time now.
Honestly, I did a camera class in drama college.
Yeah.
And we were to memorize a scene or whatever. And I was like, I have something I already know. And I did that in the class. Yeah.
That is amazing.
So good. Yeah. But the funny thing was, though, I was just sitting in a classroom with the cameras on me. There was no no costume, no clipboard, nothing like that. No.
Oh, amazing.
I'll catch you all later at the barbecue.
Yes. Right. Oh, it's so good.
Oh man, we need to do an episode. We could do a watch along or something
discussing
like that.
Rowan Atkinson's live show. But sorry, I will get back to Wonka. So I was very hesitant. I loved it. I think for me it was just the best film that I saw all of last year. So I saw it in IMAX. Then I took Luce to go and see it. And then I was like, right, I need to see it one last time. Let's go 4DX.
Oh wow,
And
really?
having like the seats move and they spray the scent of chocolate in the room. I was like, this is amazing. But yeah, I
Nice.
loved it. I thought there were certain things I was like, I wouldn't have done that. But also then,
Right.
who the hell am I?
That's
But
always going to happen, though. It's always going to happen.
it was just amazing, and the songs have been stuck in my head for a month. And I was speaking to a friend about it, and he was like, "Well, I think they were very forgettable." I'm like, just wait. If you listen to them again, just wait because they will be stuck in your head."
I
I'm
just
like,
know my Spotify Wrapped for 2024. They're going to be on there at some point.
yeah, it's gonna be. And my poor wife Luce has now got "You've never had chocolate like this" going round and round and round and round our heads.
Brilliant.
But I loved it. I thought it was so good. What did you think of it?
I also loved it.
Yeah.
And I agree that there was parts in it I was like, well, also I understand that a lot of it's not necessarily for me anymore.
No,
You know what I mean?
no. That's the
Um,
thing.
So I'm really kind of, I feel like I'm quite good at that. Like just kind of going, okay, this is not necessarily a kids film. I don't want to. When I'm watching a film in any way, like even if it's
Yeah.
like Disney or something, I don't go, we're going to see a Disney film. That's not me at all, right?
Yeah.
So I'll go, right, okay, even like horror films, even, you know, I know what I'm getting, you know, and it's
Yeah.
not really for me, but I'll still try and enjoy it anyway.
Totally.
But it is a total family adventure.
Yeah.
I was a bit hesitant when Timothée Chalamet was cast. Not that I don't think he's a great actor, because he's clearly proven that he is, but just the films I've seen of him, Call Me By Your Name, Beautiful Boy, most recently Bones and All, which was a really underrated
yeah.
one and really good actually. I was like, really? Like maybe if they were making a remake of the Johnny Depp one, I could maybe see that.
Yes, yeah.
But
Yeah,
the Gene Wilder one,
Yeah, there was a lot. I don't want to speak ill, but like a lot of his performances haven't really given him the opportunity
yeah,
to do the kind of performance he did in Wonka, to like really like just go a little bit crazy and a little bit loopy into, sounds terrible, but to play like a happy character.
yeah,
I
he
think
doesn't do that. He
the
doesn't do
first
that.
time I've gotten to see him play a character where like he's on screen smiling and really enjoying,
Yeah,
the events that are happening. But yeah, so I'm with you. I think I was a little bit hesitant by it, but I'm assuming probably anybody that was a fan of the original, when they say, right, this is the young Gene Wilder, you go, oh, because
right.
no one was going to live up to that expectation.
Of
Like
course not.
no one. But
The most I've ever
I think he
seen,
did a
like,
good job.
I mean, I do too, and I was really happy that he did a great performance. But the most I've ever seen him really loosen up was when he was on the Graham Norton show, and he was like, you know, still kind of a bit like shy, head down, and I understand people are like that, right? But then I always think about Florence Pugh talking about him, and he says that, you know, I've got a really good friend, Timothée Chalamet Bing Bong, and he calls him now. That's all people say when they talk about his name, you know. I just couldn't put that name to him though, because I can imagine him getting quite annoyed that people called him that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So now I know from seeing it in Wonka, I was like, do you know what? I reckon he gets a good kick out of people calling him Timothée Chalamet Bing Bong, you know.
Yeah, he's got to. He's got to.
Yeah. But clearly really good, and he was actually very good singer.
Yeah.
You know, I was very impressed with the singing. What did you make of Hugh Grant?
I did really enjoy it. I think it was a very different take on the Oompa Loompas we've seen before.
Not what I was expecting, but I don't know why I wasn't expecting it, because it's just Hugh Grant.
No, yeah, I think that's the thing, is that it felt so much like his character from Paddington 2, just in the size of an Oompa Loompa. But I think it was kind of what was needed in that part of the film, because he only gets introduced from like maybe like the final third of the film. But I did enjoy him. I think it was a very worthy addition to it. But yeah, one thing that we were talking about though, do you feel like all of the chocolates in the film looked more like sweets than actual chocolate?
I didn't think of that, but maybe you're right. Yeah.
So not necessarily like the chocolate balls that were in the jars, but the things like the thundercloud, and there was a like, you know, the giraffe milk macaroon and things. Lots of these things look like sweets as opposed to chocolate, but then, you know, he's supposed to be this, you know, confectionery genius that makes all these weird and wonderful and random things. But yeah,
That's an interesting
I
observation. Yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah.
really enjoyed it. I think what was really, really nice, and it was just especially as you were saying there with a family friendly thing, it's so nice to go and see a film that's, rated PG because there's
Mhm.
mild threat.
Right.
You know, people are, nearly drowned by chocolate. Spoilers, not saying who. So there's like mild threat, but it was lovely to go and see a PG film in this day and age that didn't feel dumbed down, or it didn't feel like it was having to be childish to attract like a younger audience.
Yeah.
I just love the fact it just felt so family friendly. The whole, like, any age can go and enjoy that movie.
Absolutely.
And I think that for me is what helps capture the essence of the original. Because, okay, there are elements like, the infamous boat on the chocolate river scene where you've got these really disturbing images that flash
Yeah.
up on the background. And that's kind of like, oh, but as a little kid, you either find that terrifying or it just glosses over your head.
Yeah.
So it was lovely to see a modern film now that is just suitable for all ages, but without feeling really childish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think we needed it, and we needed a movie like that in this day and age, where so many superhero movies, and
Right.
I mean, I love them, but we have become like saturated in just all this content and franchises. And okay, it's a prequel, but you could theoretically, really, just have this film on its own.
Yeah.
And then there's no continuation. But I'll be very interested to hear your opinion on this. But I absolutely crumbled in the cinema, and I have no idea where this came from. But I just became an emotional mess at the end of the movie. There's a particular like reveal of something where
Yes.
it's something that harkens to the original, and it's something that kind of like explains a little bit of like Wonka lore. And when that moment happens, like quite close to the end of the movie, oh, I was a mess.
Like back to your childhood right there.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think it was the message behind it as well.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
if you catch me, because I'm trying not to spoil it for anybody that might
Right.
be listening,
Right.
but
Right. Right. That's the
there's
difficulty of talking about like newer films. You feel like people are going to go
Yes.
see them. Yeah.
Yeah. So the message
Yeah.
that was on the oh, I was gone. I was absolutely gone. I was like,
That's great,
oh my
yeah.
God, I stopped.
And it's also like playing a particular tune, playing a particular song as well
Yeah.
near the end. Well,
Yeah.
it's not the first time you hear it, but it's like almost a full circle moment when you hear it. That
Yeah.
kind of gave me goosebumps.
And the fact the lyrics were different as well to make it a bit of a different song.
Which is probably a good thing because then they're not
Yes.
trying to copy the original. Yeah.
Yeah. But did you notice the lyrics change to the original once inside that castle?
Ah, I didn't notice that. No, but there you go. That's a key.
So-
That's
so
someone who's
the-
seen it 3 times.
That's so I've seen it too many times. Yeah. But yeah, and then I immediately got out of the cinema, checked on all the Steelbook forums because
Of course,
normally
you did. Yeah.
some films are like, if they on release day they'll go, right, it's up for pre-order, and there it was.
Nice.
So there was a version that you could get from Zavi and then one that's from Amazon. So we just ordered both because there's 2 different versions. I was like, I can't not. I was just sat in the car, just like, oh,
I want it. I want it.
I
now.
need them. So they are both
Both on the way. When they're coming out?
no day, but I reckon maybe
Okay.
like April, May.
Oh, really?
I
That
think
far away?
I think
Okay.
I think they'd miss a trick if they didn't release it around Easter time.
Well, I was going to say they're very smart bringing this film out in December. I'll tell you that for free. Everybody getting chocolate for Christmas and stuff.
Everybody getting chocolate, and especially it's the Christmas break. You need something to do.
Family,
with the
yeah.
kids. You don't want to have everybody stuck at home. There's a family-friendly movie, and I think
Yeah.
it was I think either the 5th or 6th highest grossing film of 2023, and it came
Brilliant.
out 8th of December.
Yeah.
You know
Brilliant.
what I mean? That's incredible to
Yeah.
do that well in such a short space of time.
I love, like the big summer blockbuster or the springtime blockbuster. But do you remember those like glorious 6 years a little while ago where there was a new Star Wars film every December?
Oh yes,
It's like
Yep.
Christmas time is Star Wars
Yeah,
time.
this is it. Christmas is Star Wars. And then they bring out Rise of Skywalker,
I understand.
and everything goes, oh,
I can still enjoy it. There's still parts of it that I'll find that I can enjoy.
yeah,
But
because somehow Palpatine returned.
I know.
Ugh.
I know. But there's some really cool moments, you know, like when
Yeah.
he like pulls the necklace off her, and like
Oh
they
yeah,
recreated like the kind of episode 5 kind of looking starship and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I was actually sitting. I feel like we can talk about Rise of Skywalker now. It's been long enough. But there's a moment where two characters kiss, right? And I was sitting there in the cinema, just literally saying to myself under my breath, "Don't kiss, don't kiss, don't kiss,
and
don't
then
kiss." And it's not because I was against it, but it was just there could have been so much more, something more beautiful about like a head touch or an embrace or something, and it just changed the moment. And then someone literally behind me was like, "Oh fuck," like right behind me. You know what I mean? And it just kind of ruined a really good moment. You know?
Yeah. Have you seen the video where somebody must have been sat at the back of a screening and they're filming it, and right at the end it was like, "Who are you?" It's like, Ray, and she goes, Ray who? And someone at the back screaming, "Don't you dare! Don't you say it!" And then you go, "Ray Skywalker," and the whole cinema goes, and there's someone going, "I hate Star Wars," and you're like, "Oh, come on." For me, that felt staged, but I was just also like, "Oh dear."
No, I know. I didn't mind that moment. I think
thought it was
thought
quite
she
nice.
earned it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to be a Palpatine. It's been out for long enough. If you've not seen it by now, it's on you.
Exactly, and it was going that way anyway. You know what I mean? It didn't come out of left field.
No, it's like, we brought this character back. Now we know your family history.
Yeah. I wonder what would have happened. I mean, I love The Last Jedi as well. I think Last Jedi is a brilliant film and beautiful. But I just mean, like, what would have happened if we'd stuck with the plan?
Don't know. I mean, did you ever read up on what happened in Colin Trevorrow's script, Duel of the Fates? Because it sounded dark, like, and that's probably, I wonder why it didn't work out. Maybe Disney have gone, it's a little bit too much, because there was like the scenes apparently of like public executions happening, and it was supposed to be this at the end of the movie, like Finn was going to be like this general leading this huge army of like stormtroopers who've decided, "I don't want this," and he's been able to turn them over to the good side, and it's this huge war in the middle of like an absolutely dilapidated Coruscant. I'm like, "Oh, this would have been so good." And
but it didn't happen.
It's just and apparently like they had it where like Rey was going to be blinded in battle, and she was having to fight purely using the Force.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, so all these really
cool
wonderful
ideas, yeah.
And then,
no,
I mean,
I know.
it was all right. I'm not one of those people that goes, "Oh my god, it's the worst one out of them all."
It's ruined Star Wars and stuff.
No, because that's just silly. Because why let one thing ruin everything else? But I just wasn't. It was just saying, right, this is how it ends. It just kind of feels a bit.
Yeah, I've got a real soft spot for those films, the sequels, because, you know, they came out when I was just like the perfect age for them as well, right? Like, especially The Force Awakens. There was a time where I would go around saying The Force Awakens was my favorite movie ever. I've kind of changed that now, but just because of the moment, you know what I mean? Like, I had my Christmas, my first ever Christmas night out from drama college on the night it was released, and I went straight from Tony Macaroni's to the pub to the cinema for the midnight screening, and it was just the greatest cinema experience I've ever had, and I'll always have that like love for those films for that. But I can totally understand. I just don't love Rise of Skywalker anywhere near as much as the first two, and I like Rogue One as well, and I really like Solo. I thought Solo was great as well.
See, Rogue One for me, I think, is the best thing that the Disney Lucasfilm has put out. I just thought, and that and Andor, like, just incredible. I think Rogue One was literally like, we finally got a Star War movie, because it, you know, it's elements of like a heist, and it's a thriller and action, and you know, ultimately it all, you know, spoilers, but just for the fact that they go, okay, so all these characters you really cared about, they've gone, but their sacrifice meant that we have what we got.
Well, that's it.
That was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
I never loved it as much as other people at the time because I was like, but they all die. You know what I mean? Like it's just, but
Yes.
you knew that going in. You know, you're caring about these
Yeah.
characters and they just all die. But it's that moment where it links to the first Star Wars, and it's literally the sound effects, the camera shots. It's like it's so accurate. I was like, this amazing experience in the cinema.
The Vader corridor scene, I think. I mean, obviously, he's always been this incredibly intimidating, scary character on screen, but that was the moment where I think they nailed him because he was just like a horror movie monster getting revealed, and it was just that the sound of the siren, the smoke, and then you see his lightsaber ignite, and you go, "Oh my god!" And it's the panic on the troopers, and like. And it's just a monster just slowly moving down the corridor, wiping out everything in his way. That
and
to me,
they've got the plans and they're putting it through the door like, take it. Like,
that was the epitome of just like horror movie monster and something that we've already seen and known, but to take such an infamous character and make him terrifying was such an achievement. So I sat there with goosebumps on my arms the whole way through.
Yeah. And then there's the Leia moment as well. Just that came right after she died too. Like, oh man.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry everybody. We always trust us to start talking about Star Wars.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah.
I just wanted to. We'll move on in a sec, but I just wanted to bring up the three idiots, like Matt Lucas.
Oh yes,
and Patterson Joseph,
Pickle Gruber, and Prodnose. Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's those sorts of characters that you would forget about them if you didn't pay so much attention to them. Yeah. And it's just wee lines here and there that they just made me laugh so much. Man.
Yeah. Their song "Sweet Tooth" was the song that stayed in my head for ages because there's one line that's like, "Have you got the hots for jocks?" I don't know why that was going round and round and round and round my head. But you know what brilliant characters, and then you kind of go, "Oh, you know what? You know, if they were so big and powerful and all that, how have they then let Wonka go and, you know, achieve everything he did?" Because he's come into this world and given everybody chocolates that they can afford that are miles better than everything they provided before. And of course, they're now going to try and copy what he did. So I do like how it kind of like sets it all up. And I just thought they were just amazing performances.
Yeah.
Like absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And you had this lovely blend because, you know, you have this Shakespearean performance from Slugworth, and then Fickle Gruber's this kind of like you know, weedy kind of like, oh, I'm gonna poke fun, and then you have Matt Lucas doing his you know,
I thought he was hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you get one of the masters of delivering catchphrases to come in, and he's got that, and then they died. It's just like, you know, who's going to deliver it the same way each and every time, because he's a master of catchphrases. So, yeah, I think they were a very worthy addition. And then, you know, you look at like Mrs. Scrubbit and Bleacher, who
Bleacher is brilliant.
I think if you couldn't have written two characters that felt more like Roald Dahl had written them.
Yeah, good call.
I feel like they were a blend of like the Trunchbull and the Twits in one. You know, it's the language that was chosen of how they would speak. I feel like that is how Roald Dahl would write them. Just so good.
And he comes in wearing the outfit, trying to impress her and stuff.
It's like, where'd you get them dungarees? Oh, you mean these? Oh, it's just
I love it. Do you? Just a quick question here. Do you go into these films and when you know they're going to be like multiple funny, interesting voices in these characters, are you able to just pick them up immediately, or do you need to watch them a few times to go, okay, I feel like I can do this one now?
I kind of feel like I just come home and then I just try and impersonate it to the best of my memory.
I mean, it's just a natural performer. I understand, but just like it's so good at them.
I genuinely wish I had a better answer other than just like I just do it, and then if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like there's some impressions that I try and do, and Lewis is like, "Yeah, that's not one of them."
Really? Like so what? Like
I can't remember because I'm distraught by the moment. I just push it to the back of my memory, like this is my craft. So, what was it? Yeah. We all of December we watched through all the Harry Potter movies because I haven't seen them since about 2012.
Really? I was going to say how many times you've seen them now, but that's fair enough.
Yes, this is. I think for like Deathly Hallows, it was only my third time having seen it, but we did this challenge where if you watched one a week, you would see the last one on like Christmas Eve.
Nice
but
one.
we panned it out a bit slower, so we saw the last one on New Year's Eve. And I can't remember. There was one character I tried to impersonate from Harry Potter, and it just was not good. I'm like, well, we're never going to speak of this again. So, that was.
Isn't it funny though, like how many people have Harry Potter as their comfort film? You know, you would maybe consider like maybe Willy Wonka the Chocolate Factory as your comfort film, or one of them.
Yeah.
Star Wars, you know. You know, I'm watching a Scottish YouTuber just now watching Star Wars for the first time, like reacting to the films and stuff, and it's so relatable because she sounds so like my pal, but it's not my pal. But because it's the same accent and stuff, she's like from Fife, and I'm listening to it, and I'm just like, it's as if my pal was watching Star Wars. So it's so comforting. But I'm watching Star Wars, and she says things that I'm like, for someone who's never seen Star Wars, would be a normal question. Yeah. So like before the video starts, she was reacting to Empire, and she's like, right, I've got a couple of predictions. I think Darth Vader is Luke's dad, right?
Okay.
I think someone told me in the comments that Luke is Leia's brother. Right, so they spoiled that one for me. And I think that Obi-Wan Kenobi is Yoda.
I mean, they missed a trick there, didn't they?
I was going, she's going to be really
she's going to be really
disappointed.
Yeah. But I think it's one of those things where, like, could you imagine back in the day?
Well, this is it.
Not knowing that Vader was Luke's dad.
And my dad tells me this, you know.
The moment in the cinema must have been incredible, because now it's always like one of those infamous things that's always ruined straight away. Like the Titanic obviously sinks at the end of the movie. Like Vader is the dad. Like the ending of Sixth Sense. All these things that are like, you know, these infamous like plot twists in movie history that have been now so widely discussed that they're not even a surprise anymore. So I don't know, watching Star Wars for the first time.
Can you imagine?
Knowing that getting to experience it all for the first time, but like the biggest plot twist in cinema history, you already know.
History, you already know. I mean, I was showing my partner, Iona, who's always on the podcast, we were watching it together for the first time, I don't know, 2 years ago or something like that. Yeah. And she's like, is this the one? I'm like, for fuck's sake. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh man. Yes, it is.
Getting spoiled. Yeah.
So anyway, so yes, last question I wanted to ask you was, what is your favourite chocolate bar?
Ooh, Mr. Moffat. Oh my.
Just because I recently had a Galaxy Caramel, and I thought this is probably one of my favourite ones, but I'm very, very partial to a fudge.
Sorry, it was the direct eye contact and the super serious look then when you said, I'm partial to a fudge. Oh my God, it's so intense.
You know the way you say something once, right? I was around my girlfriend's family once, and I said, I love Cadbury fudges, right?
Yeah.
Every birthday and every Christmas, I just get packets and packets of these fudges.
Really?
I've got about 4 packets in my fridge.
Oh, sorry, I've got no idea why that tickled me as much as it did. It was just how deadly serious you did that.
I'm serious, I do.
I mean, buddy, serious. I'm feeling it. This is where I'm like, there was a selection box, and I just picked dairy milk because I didn't want to go too crazy, but I did spot a fudge in there. I was like, oh, hello.
Whoa. Well, if you listen, I'll give you my address after this. You can say,
hey, there you go. Yeah. So, right, I'm very partial to Reese's peanut butter cups.
All right, nice.
And I'm a sucker for their snowmen that come out every Christmas.
Ooh.
So like a Reese's snowman. It's like a giant peanut butter cup in the shape of a snowman. I've got one left from Christmas. But just in terms of actual favorite like chocolate bar, I'm gonna the one that you can currently buy. It's Tony's salted caramel. Have you ever had a Tony's bar? Because
maybe I have, but it's not ringing any bells.
Oh, they're filthy. They're so good. They're like one of the more expensive bars, but it's just so good. But then, harkening back to the Johnny Depp Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie,
yes,
they released 3 chocolate bars that like coincided with the movie.
Oh,
And there was one called a Whipple Scrumptious Fudge Mallow Delight. And still to this day, that is the best chocolate I've ever had in my entire life. And obviously
wow.
you're never going to be able to get it again. But it was a piece of fudge that had been
I'm in.
ignore me. It was a little marshmallow coated in fudge, then with like this layer of like kind of like the inside of like a lint ball. So that's what was wrapped around the fudge, and then
Yeah.
in a chocolate square.
Wow.
They were filthy. They were
Game
so
changing.
good. Oh
Yeah.
man, they're amazing.
I love the white chocolate lints. They're incredible. And if someone was to ask me, gun to my head, favorite chocolate bar,
What would you have?
maybe a Bueno. You know, like
Kinder
a Kinder
Bueno?
Bueno, yeah.
Interesting.
Like a classic Kinder Bueno, yeah. I have
But-
them loads.
But here's the thing: is it a chocolate bar or is it a biscuit? Dum dum dum.
I think it's a chocolate bar.
Yeah.
Is a Jaffa cake a cake or a chocolate biscuit?
Now this is a whole other podcast.
Yeah, I know, that's right.
I'm gonna say it's a biscuit because they never put it in the cake section.
Or in the fridge.
I know, or in the fridge. It's always with the biscuits.
Yeah.
I think it's called a cake purely because it has that sponge.
The sponge.
texture.
Yeah.
It comes in a biscuit packet. It's in a box. It's not in a tray. It's just I'm gonna say it's a biscuit.
Okay.
What about you?
Oh, I'm indifferent. I don't care. I also love a Snickers, right?
Hey,
However,
nice. Okay.
have you ever had an Aldi Snickers bar?
No.
It is
Are they called
it's
like tickler or something like that?
close. It's a racer. Right?
Aha.
It's a racer bar, and definitely worth having. It's better than a Snickers. And we once asked Alexa to put racers on the shopping list. So my mum said, Alexa, add racer bars to shopping list. And then we looked in the shopping list and it came up razor balls. We'll leave you with that. Okay, everybody, thanks for listening to this episode of the Good Bit Podcast. Apologies for the more chocolate chat and Star Wars chat than Wonka, but we loved the film.
We got it out. It was amazing.
Yeah, and when it comes out on Blu-ray, definitely grab it because it's definitely worth to watch. Yeah, absolutely.
It may still be in cinema.
I believe
when
it is.
People are hearing this because right now it's got showings all day long. So by the time people hear this, it may still be there. If you can, run and see it on the biggest screen that you can. It's just so good and so feel good.
Yeah,
but
and for the songs, you know, I was told to go
to
go see Maestro in the cinema because of the music and for the sounds.
Hey.
Sounds like a great idea. Went and saw that. I'm glad I saw Wonka in the cinema for the songs.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
And every single time I kept saying Maestro, I thought of Rowan Atkinson. Maestro, this man is sick of the palsy.
They applauded loudly from the kitchen.
Do you do children's parties?
Lord, thy one-liners are as good as thy tricks. Thou art indeed an all-round family entertainer.
You are the only person that is going to appreciate this.
Yeah.
I have had in my Twitter bio for about 6 years. I don't know if you can see. Can you see? All-round family entertainer.
Oh, what a line
for that! Oh my god,
that is incredible.
Paul Daniels, you cried.
And there was much wailing and gnashing of teeth. And he said, "What is it?" Then said, "Oh, ye of little faith." And lo, he opened the box, and Mary was whole,
and cleft her in twain.
So good.
Oh my god, I love it.
We'll have to sit down and just do a whole discussion on this on that DVD because that's just the thing of legend.
That has made me so. Really, oh my god,
and then the Tom, Dick, and Harry skit as well. Dick saw the combine harvester.
I don't know that one as much. I never watched that one as much. I have seen it, but I haven't watched that one as much. I mean, I watched the other ones an unhealthy amount of times.
Right.
Oh man.
Yeah. This was like September 2008. I was on holiday in Spain, and I discovered them on YouTube, and that was it. Then that was it. I was gone. It was just down a rabbit hole of watching this stuff.
Did you ever have LimeWire?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say yes or no.
I may or may not have had it. And
I mean, I'm sure it was a valuable tool for people that couldn't afford to buy things, and definitely didn't destroy everybody's computers.
my friend had it. And
Okay, yes. Tell me more about this friend. I think I had the same friend.
and I downloaded all those, and the Mr. Bean nativity scene where he's playing with the figures in the Christmas shop.
Oh,
And he picks up baby Jesus with a helicopter. Like, so I just watched that so many times. And I remember showing my uncle, I was like, look at this. Like, the dinosaur comes in and starts shouting at baby Jesus. And then watched like the hell scene and the no one called Jones bottom and all
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the headmaster reading everybody's name.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Tight fit for heaven's sake, leave your pick alone. Right. Okay, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode. Go check out Rowan Atkinson live on YouTube. You won't regret it, and you'll finally have an idea what on earth we're talking about. Until next time, folks, take care of yourselves, and we'll catch you all down the road.